Hello, Irish fans, and welcome to Onward to Victory, a Notre Dame football podcast. My name is Colton Painter, and welcome to one of the most anticipated offerings of the year. This is the 6th annual season preview episode. Today, we are mere weeks from the kickoff of the 2024 season, so we will be breaking down the roster, the position groups, perhaps offering a sleeper or two, and giving an outlook on the schedule and perhaps some more fun and frolic. We will see. But whoa, a special guest in the studio today. We have a fellow painter pundit in my younger brother, Colton. Indeed, there is a lot of brotherly love here tonight. So, Colton, we are hitting that home opener on September 7th. How you feeling about that one?
Yes, sir. Alex, thank you for having me on again. Thrilled to be back. I'm very excited to get back to campus, man. It's been a long summer, and I'm just excited to get back up to our friends there in South Bend and tailgate a little bit, and all the vibes.
Speaking of the fun and frolic, man, nobody does it like the Painters up in South Bend. I promise you that. And first, I'd like to acknowledge before we jump in that it's been a very busy off season, so to speak, here on the show. Just to run through what we've been up to. And we had episode number 98 last month. It was about Tom Lieb, who was a Rockne-era lineman who competed out on the gridiron, on the hockey rink, and he was an Olympian medalist 100 years ago at the 1924 Paris Olympics. We had a special sit-down with Vegas Ferguson, Notre Dame legend, for our 5th anniversary special. We remember Jack Chevney around Memorial Day, who was, again, another little bit after Rockne era, but he was a wonderful halfback who gave his last full measure at the beach of Iwo Jima during World War II. We gave a summation of the 7 mules. So it's 2024. So 100 years ago was Notre Dame's vaunted 4 horsemen backfield. So a lot of talk about the 4 horsemen. I decided to take an episode to talk about those 7 mules who blocked for those 4 horsemen. Also, a special offering in February was about the Irish potato famine and how it affected Notre Dame's campus. And finally, much earlier this year, there was the rise, fall, and rise of Pat O'Day, who was a Notre Dame head football coach at the turn of the century, also known as the Kangaroo Kicker. So again, been a very, very busy off season. Please, by all means, if you haven't listened to any of those episodes or all of those episodes, make sure you go back and give them a listen. Just remember that those episodes that I talked about, as well as all the others in the catalog, are pretty much timeless. Actually, the season preview episodes are actually where I get a little anxious because we're kind of breaking script. We're not doing the deep history dives, but rather we are talking about the modern edition of the Fighting Irish, which I know a lot of our listening audience checks into. So before we start breaking this thing down, let's also give some major roses to the Consensus All-American, who are, of course, those very special individuals who contribute significantly to the show, either in the past or are doing so currently. We wouldn't be here without them, honestly. These folks include Brad Glazier of Williamsburg, Indiana, Will Fuller of Warren, Ohio, Dr. Jeremy Scarlett of Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin, and Andy Nickel of South Bend, Indiana. Thank you all. And if you want to join the ranks of the Consensus All-Americans, please feel free to visit the virtual collection baskets, if you will, at paypal.me/onwardtovictory or patreon.com/onwardtovictory podcast. Please keep in mind that this show is wholly powered by our friends at West Coast Screen Printing and Embroidery at wcscreens.com. If you need promotional items for your company, your organization, your family reunion, your get-together, whatever it might be, give my pal Tony and his team a call at West Coast Screen Printing and Embroidery at wcscreens.com. This show is also sponsored by Augie's Locker Room at 1733 North Ironwood Drive up in South Bend. No trip to campus is complete without a trip to Augie's. New location, however, same Notre Dame experience. You're going to find distinct, unique memorabilia, gifts, almost museum-like quality atmosphere. So make sure, again, when you're up in South Bend for a game or whatever, you visit Augie's Locker Room. New location at 1733 North Ironwood Drive, but same old Augie's. Okay, so to kick off this preview, let's talk about those who have moved on from the program. Let's actually start with those who have cycled out, perhaps by way of the draft or they are out of eligibility. So perhaps most notably are the offensive tackles in Joe Alt and Blake Fisher. Both were drafted into the NFL, as well as running back Audric Estime. We'll certainly miss Estime's running and his 1,300 plus yards and all those times he hit pay dirt over the last couple of years and his tough running. We'll talk about some of his replacements. We've seen a lot of them out on the field already. Chris Tyree and Zeke Correll have also cycled out. Colton, can you think of anyone else who maybe have transferred out or anyone I'm missing there?
Yeah, I mean, flipping over to the defense, we lost Maris Leofau to the draft. He went to the Cowboys. We lost Cam Hart, J.D. Bertrand, Javante John Baptiste, Micah Bell, and Nana Osapa-Mensah. Now, the latter of the two transferred out. So I wish them all the best. I'm looking forward to seeing what they'll do.
I think out of the two, I mean, we're definitely going to miss J.D. Bertrand. His leadership, his sure tackling the most. We wish J.D. nothing but the best. He's been absolutely awesome to watch the last couple of years. And Maris Leofau we were really big fans of him here on this show, and he really bloomed into quite a player for us. We'll definitely miss them as they, again, whatever their next stop may be. So let's talk about the 2023 version of the Fighting Irish. As far as the schedule is concerned, really played quite a strong schedule. The season started with 4 consecutive wins against Navy. That one was in Dublin, which was particularly memorable for many folks and a lot of folks who made that trip over. Tennessee State was the home opener. A road game against North Carolina State, and then a home game against Central Michigan. And then that heartbreaking 17-14 loss to Ohio State. That was in South Bend, and unfortunately looked like that game was all but won for the Irish, but we seemed to snatch a defeat out of the jaw victory at that point. A win against a ranked team, and also a matchup against our soon-to-be quarterback number 1, Riley Leonard. And then a loss to Louisville. Colton, you were there for that one, down in Louisville. And then wins USC and Pitt. And then ran our record to 7-2. A loss line was pretty ugly despite the close-ish score. Took us to 7-3. And then stronger season wins against Wake Forest and Stanford. And then a really dominant bowl victory over Oregon State, even though it felt like everybody was kind of playing a number of their backups by that point. But that took us to our 10-3 record. So, Colton, what were your main takeaways from the 2023 Notre Dame football season?
My main takeaway would probably be, the first 4 games, it felt like all of us were on cloud 9 there. Navy, Tennessee State, NC State, and Central Michigan. And then we all kind of came back down to earth, although, like you said, the Irish played very well against Ohio State. I felt like that was a little bit where the wheels kind of came off for the Irish. I think they should have probably beaten Duke a little better than what they did. Not to be a negative Nancy here, but like you said, I was at the Louisville game, and I think I still have nightmares about it. I know I'll never look at Louisville Cardinals the same way ever since that day.
They live rent free.
Pretty much, man. Those fans, I'll give it to them. They're pretty good at heckling, and they really brought it that game. I've said that was the loudest Notre Dame game I've ever been to.
Yeah, that's fair.
But then Marcus Freeman and the guys, they righted the ship for C and Pitt, both very good games. My key moment and takeaway would probably be the moments that we didn't show up for, and my biggest takeaway would be for Marcus Freeman and the staff to try to better ready the guys for a road environment.
Yeah. No, that's I think completely fair. What we're looking at, this is Marcus's fourth year, as a Notre Dame coach. And, if you were to take away that Fiesta Bowl game in 2021, he's got a 19-7 record. He's got some big wins, and I think the big wins and then ugly losses are kind of the ugly losses. We've been a little bit feast and famine, and some of the losses just Ohio State was incredibly winnable. But yeah, some of the losses have been really ugly, and almost as ugly as some of the wins being exhilarating. So, we'll see. This is the third year, the third full season for Freeman. And as we know from our history books, the third year for a Notre Dame head football coach is that pivotal year. That's when they make that incredibly large leap. We've seen it time and time again, whether it was Brian Kelly, Ara Parseghian, Lou Holtz. I mean, that third year is critical. But we'll see how Marcus Freeman does in his third year. Yeah, but no, I agree. 2023 is tough. It was tough. I mean, it was great to get double-digit wins. But yeah, that road environment can be really tough.
Yeah, Alec, talking about that year 3 whole deal with Brian Kelly, Lou Holtz, Ara Parseghian, you name it. Though I think it's really interesting, I wouldn't get too hyper-focused as a fan, because one thing I'll tell you is it either proves to be true or it proves to be not true.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only a handful of coaches that made it there, and believe Marcus Freeman totally can. I'm rooting for him, but I just wouldn't get too fixed on that national champions mentality.
I think they have a favorable enough schedule, which we will talk about soon. Obviously, if we show up to play each week, we'll be fine. However, we'll talk about the schedule. Let's talk really quick about some transfers. So, coming into the program, perhaps the biggest one, or at least the most talked about one, was Riley Leonard, who quarterbacked Duke. And we saw him last year, actually. Riley Leonard was injured during the Notre Dame football game. You might say that was something of a turning point, honestly, for us there. That was a close football game. But we also got a trio of wide receivers in Bo Collins, Jaden Harrison, and Chris Mitchell. Colton, out of those three, first of all, that really is going to help stabilize that position group, which really kind of needed it. Any of those three stick out to you more than the others?
Yeah, I would say Bo Collins sticks out to me the most, just due to the experience at 6'3". I think that's something that we've been missing. I'm really to somebody that can really stretch the field and be a deep threat. And also, I mean, Chris Mitchell, he's a stud as well. He's about as quick as it can be. I'm looking forward to see what Denbrock can come up with for Chris Mitchell.
Yeah, Denbrock is a big get for the coaching staff. So we return Al Golden at defensive coordinator. How do you feel about Denbrock as offensive coordinator?
Oh, I'm stoked.
And has a Painter family connection, of course, because he did spend a season at Indiana State, which we had a couple siblings with. He was last at Notre Dame in 2016, where he's the wide receivers coach and the assistant head coach. So the associate head coach. So he's got a deep familiarity with the school, and I think that's going to serve us really well. So let's start with the offense side of the ball. So Riley, the one, again, transferred in from Duke this offseason. And so let's go over his statistics. Well, first, let's talk something that Sam didn't really, and that's a little bit more prototypical back size. Riley Leonard tips the scales at 205 pounds and at 6'4". Standpoint, he supersedes Sam Hartman, who was our quarterback, of course, last year in a Wake Forest transfer. But 27 career games for Riley Leonard. However, something that he is absolutely known for, ability to plays with his legs, and that gives us a dynamic threat as far as the ground game is concerned, one that coming off an injury, so we'll see how he's utilized. But Colton, what are your thoughts about Riley Leonard center?
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that Notre Dame was actually the one that handed him that injury there last season. But Riley, my biggest thing is the dude is an athlete, point blank, and I think he got recruited to Duke for basketball as well. I may be wrong, but I know he was a heck of a basketball player as well. And like you said, I think he'll really show his chops when it comes to running. I hope his ankle is 100%. I know that's what they're saying, but I know how those things can nag. So we're just hoping and praying for a healthy season. I know I'm gonna be wincing when the first time he gets tackled there in College Station.
Yeah, same. And well, fortunately, as far as that's concerned, we of course wish nothing but all the health and wine and women for Riley Leonard. However, we do have some experience coming in behind him. Steve Angeli's got quite a following, and for good reason. I mean, he's really taken advantage quite well of a lot of the opportunities he's been handed, at least as best as he could. He's not been handed a super favorable deck at times, but he's persevered and he has stuck with it with the Irish. So Steve Angeli, Kenny Minchie, and CJ Carr will be backups. I mean, I think having Angeli there as QB2, I think that's a good spot. I think we're in a good spot with that. I mean, because he's got some experience. And do you have any qualms about Steve Angeli being your QB2?
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that it feels to me like a bit of a security blanket. I could trust Steve to go do job, and at the same time, I would probably trust any of the quarterbacks.
Riley Leonard, QB1. He got some good backups just in case he pulled a parachute or injuries or whatever happened. But let's move on here to the running back position. Audric Estime, who of course rushed for 1,341 yards and had 18 touchdowns on the ground, and actually built himself, I should say, in a serviceable pass catcher out of the backfield with 17 catches last year. Notre Dame still does have some compelling options there at running back. So Jeremiah Love looks like he will be the heir apparent to Estime, as well as Jadarian Price, Jabron Payne, plus you got some youngsters in there. How you feel about that stable of backs?
I feel really, really good. I feel maybe like the third or fourth year I felt pretty good about the running backs. I wish we could just sign Deland McCullough to a lifetime contract. Just coach our running backs for as long as you want. I am super pumped. I think we'll see a lot of the 1-2 punch of Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price and the guys, man. The Aeneas Williams out in the spring game this year. He's not afraid. So any of these guys, they're all pretty good.
Running back by committee was a storyline, particularly early in the season. Estime was our guy. We have a lot of production to place there, but enough depth and clearly talent that we can do that. But look for Jeremiah Love to likely lead the team in rushing, and Jadarian Price perhaps as a close second. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're going to do different things with each one of them.
I agree. So let's talk about the offensive line as a unit. Now, we've been blessed here in South Bend with really talented, not just players on the offensive line, but whole units. So working from left tackle to right tackle, we're looking at left tackle. This is projected, by the way, Anthony Knapp. Left guard is Pat Coogan. Center, Ashton Craig. Right guard, Billy Schrouth. And right tackle, Emil Wagner. How do you feel about these five?
It's a little makes me a little nervous. I don't know about you, but just not the experience that we're really used to. And man, I tell you what, going back all the way to the beginning of the show, we talked about the departures and who we lost in the draft and transfers out. I think one person that Notre Dame will miss, and will miss Notre Dame as well, Blake Fisher. I think that we could have really used him this year. At the same token, I think that he could have really used Notre Dame, because I truly believe he would have been a first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
This upcoming draft. But overall, yeah, I mean, it makes me nervous. We've got a good coach there, and
remind the good folks who Notre Dame's offensive line coach is.
That'll be Joe Rudolph. He is coming from Wisconsin, where he was a Joe Award finalist. So, I mean, anytime that you've got a Joe Moore Award finalist coach on your coaching staff, that's got to put you a little bit at ease. However, I think we're just missing a few guys that we could get in and just kind of get the looks and just the options. I think they feel a little handcuffed at this point with who they wrote there. I just hope that they feel good about it and
Yeah, they got a big one coming out game one. You're not lying. We'll talk about the schedule here after a bit. Anytime you're replacing a top 10 offensive tackle or top 10 pick as an offensive tackle, Joe Alt or anyone, I mean, that is something that has got to be front of mind as a position group, especially at that left tackle position. So replacing Joe Alt it's going to be tough. And I couldn't agree more on the assessment of Blake Fisher. It just feels like his exit premature. That's just, that seems to be the consensus here. Perhaps it's not elsewhere. However, it does feel like he could have benefited from another year in South Bend. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. He was definitely picked up because of upside. But boy, he could have used a lot more polish because his time spent was far from exemplary. Joe Alt has been fantastic pretty much from the rip. However, Blake Fisher struggled, and he had a good year last year. But man, it just really felt like he was primed to come back and be an All-American here. So, of course, I'm not trying to besmirch him or anything, but I agree. So, most of our experience comes at the center position. At left guard, Pat Coogan. You got program guys there. Billy Schrouth is another one at right guard. He doesn't have as much experience as the other two, but we are pretty much rolling out some fresh tackles. Emil Wagner, another program guy. They've been around, so they've been in the system. So, see, the real wild card here is left tackle Anthony Knapp. True freshman starting potentially at tackle. He's battling with Tosh Baker right now. Any perspective there on the left tackle battle?
Yeah, the left tackle battle, it comes off the heels of a Charles Jagasaw injury.
Yep.
He tore his pectoral. I think we were all excited to see Charles Jagasaw. I mean, he's just a monster. So it'll be good to get the experience for Tosh Baker or Anthony Knapp, but Anthony Knapp, he's a true freshman, and our game, we'll be talking about it. It's going to be a big one, and it's going to be really loud, and just be a lot different than Friday night football. So
sure will.
I just hope he has the confidence if we go with him. And yeah, I think he'll do great. I mean, maybe not name one, but he'll be great.
Speaking of someone who I am going to be incredibly happy to have for game one. Here's a trivia question for you, Colt, not to put you on the spot. The 2023 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Do you know who led the team in receptions?
Mitchell Evans?
That's correct. Mitchell Evans led the team with 29 receptions. He'll be backed up by some familiar names, actually several familiar names. That tight end group is deep. You got Eli Raridan, Cooper Flanagan, and Kevin Bauman. Happy to have Mitchell back. Do you have any perspective on?
Yeah, I mean, we're tight end man. I don't have to worry about. I haven't done
right
in my lifetime. So yeah, just keep pushing forward. These guys are all good. So
let's talk then about wide receivers. I don't want to talk about all of them. However, a couple names that folks will be familiar with. That we got a duo of Jadens that have been around. Jaden Thomas and Jaden Greathouse. Jaden Thomas had 21 catches last year for two touchdowns. Greathouse catching 5. He was able to find pay dirt rather consistently. So Jaden Thomas and Jaden Greathouse are back. But then at the perimeter receiver, we got Jordan Faison. Again, the lacrosse guy turned football guy. And he actually lit it up in the season. So Faison will be back, and I know he'll be a welcome face for pretty much everyone involved, especially quarterback Riley Leonard and, of course, us fans too. However, buried fifth-string wide receiver is none other than Tyler Buckner, former Irish quarterback. What a year Tyler Buckner had. But he is back in the program. So he, of course, departed to go to Alabama. That just did not work out. So he returned and played lacrosse at Notre Dame this spring. And now he's out for the football team. So quite the odyssey for Buckner. But the group is Bob Mitchell and Bo. Those are going to be huge. I think we've lacked quality depth for quite some time. So what are you giving our offense here?
I would probably give them a B.
Yeah, that's exactly I got too many questions around the line, honestly, to go much higher.
Yeah, same here. Exactly what I can.
There's some talent on the skill position players, and It's interesting to feel like you got questions around the offensive line, a position that's or a position group that's just been so steady. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen every so often. And Notre Dame has had a knack for making offensive lines gel fairly well. So I have no doubt, little doubt, I should say, that that'll be the same. But I'm giving the offense a B. So let's move over to the defensive side of the ball. On the whole, how are we feeling about the defense?
Oh, defense. Al Golden. I'm excited. I hope we stay healthy, and I think you're going to see a similar result in that what you saw last year. They're going to be dominant. They're going to plays. They're going to score. I'm excited for them.
Let's talk about the defensive line first, man. We got Howard Cross anchoring down the middle at nose tackle. He was absolutely on point last year. And on either side of him is Riley Mills, who has really shown out here of late. And actually, his representation reached out to me to be on the. We couldn't afford him, though. And at the other defensive end, we got a really compelling trans. Have R.J. Oben from Duke. Now, R.J. is a guy who this is, I believe, a fifth-year senior now. But you're talking about a guy who's had almost 16 sacks, and so he's coming in. He's going to still be holding down defensive end spot. So, how you feeling about the line? We got some new faces here, new faces over last year, but some familiar ones, and obviously they're in the middle.
Yeah, I feel good of experience, like you said. I think they're gonna probably be rotating a bit. I think we'll see Josh Burnham quite a bit, as well as.
You know where Josh Burnham's from, right?
Not.
He's from Traverse City, Michigan.
Nice.
Yeah, not for nothing.
Not Michigan.
Yeah, yeah, except for that.
All right, but a good amount of each person on the deep, really. R.J. Oben, Donovan Howard Cross, Onye, and Mills. But I think we'll see a good amount of guys, as they like to do with the defensive line and a rotate. But very excited. Hopefully they go in, put pressure on the opposing quarterbacks.
Howard Cross last year, 66 tackles. Good for second on the team, trailing only J.D. Birch, and 7 for a loss and 2 sacks. Howard Cross, the third, is absolutely bona fide. And again, preseason All-American. Now at linebacker, we're gonna lump in the Rover here with this. So the way the depth chart that we have here, Jordan Botelho is that Viper spot, which has been super prolific for Notre Dame defense here of late, and we know Botelho pretty well. He's been around the program for some 4.5 tackles for loss last year. Local Hoosier Drake Bowen from Andrean High School will be holding down the middle linebacker spot, and there's a guy who's played a metric ton of Notre Dame football at the Will. That would be Jack Kaiser. And then Jalen Sneed, who's an exciting prospect. Excited to see him again. He'll be holding down that Rover spot. So we'll see a very strong outfit from the onset here on paper. So we'll see how they gel together, and it'll be really fun to watch the young kid who's kind of insulated by really good experience, and Bowen just seems like he'll be a great, fantastic middle linebacker. So time will tell. Colton, do you have any thoughts on this?
No, I mean, I think that's a position you're solid in, and that staff is doing a great job of stacking the classes. Really excited for Kingston Billy Mawasa. He's going to be special, and all these other guys. I mean, the coaching staff's just doing a job.
Yeah, you look at the two deep, man. Sperry, Jalamaka, Zinter. I mean, there's athletes. Love, of course, Kaiser. So he was a huge comeback. Jalen Sneed is one folks are really excited about. But let's talk about the defensive backfield here for a moment. So Jaden Mickey, Xavier Watts, and Benjamin Morrison at cornerback and free safety. Watts was outstanding last year, and Ben Morrison's had a solid, hell of a good career, actually. And Aiden Schuler looks like he will be as the strong safety. All right, go for it. Do you have any thoughts on the defensive backfield?
Yeah, gonna be a solid group. Really excited for Jaden Mickey. I think he's going to answer the call to replace Cam Hart. We've seen a bit of Jaden Mickey and he just has that fire, man. And I think that it'll be a seamless transition there at the field corner. And also Christian Gray, I think that we'll see him. He'll be like the Jaden Mickey was last year, you know, where you'll see him come in and he'll be backing up both the guys, you know.
Yep. What are you giving? I mean, what are you giving this unit as a grade? What are you giving the defensive side of the ball?
Probably a minus.
Dude, bro, that's exactly what I was about to say.
Are you serious?
No, man, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I'm like, there's no way he says A minus. I hedged you as an A, but I was gonna say A minus too. I mean, just because like you gotta have room for improvement, obviously. But I'm giving them an A minus. I think they're gonna come in with moxie and swagger to spare, and a proven coordinator who's not one to ever rest on his haunches or rest on his laurels, man. Al Golden is the real deal. And to have so much pedigree coming in, I mean, I think Notre Dame is blessed as far as defense is concerned.
Hey, Alex, I think we've got another Indiana kid there.
Who'd I miss?
Oh, you missed Bronte Johnson. He's actually from our hometown of Fort Wayne, Indiana. He went to North.
Dude, you're right. You're right. Hey, we gotta give it up. We gotta give it up to the Fort Wayne kids. And speaking of, we should probably give a quick mention to Brandon Logan, who will be a two-sport star, I assume, at the University of Notre Dame. Brandon Logan not only is a Fort Wayne guy, but he also attended our humble, or not so humble, alma mater of Snyder High School.
Yeah, man. Super, super excited for that kid.
Yeah, fun fact, I played with his dad. His dad was a senior when I was a freshman. I was absolutely terrified of him.
Right, yeah, he actually coached while I was in high school. He coached defense. Well, wasn't he like the all-time leading tackler in Snyder history?
Yeah, the tackling record is a little bit nebulous just because, you know, tackling was a figure they didn't really keep for decades. However, since I think the stat has been recorded, Brandon Logan leads all Snyder tacklers. He was so good, man. He was so good. And I tell you what, man, Colton, maybe as a quarterback, you never had the privilege to experience this, but they used to make us scrubs like run down the field on special teams against the varsity, as freshmen, sophomores, and I remember, man, just being absolutely terrified to run down. Like, I was always on the kickoff team as a freshman. And so, man, I remember looking out there and I see guys like Brandon Logan, and I just hope to escape with my life.
Oh, yeah, man. I wore I was privileged to wear the red jersey.
Dude, I'm not going to lie, man. Hey, we all played football. Our experiences weren't necessarily the same. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. Hey, I remember hearing stories, though, about Bernard Pollard, who went to Fort Wayne Southside, and how he hit a guy so hard. And Snyder, of course, beat the crap out of Southside. But, man, Bernard Pollard got a lick in on one of our tough guys. And apparently he made him pee his pants. So that's how our Bernard Pollard hit. And that's a name. Of course, he went to Purdue and then had several years in the in the NFL. So Bernard Pollard would hit you so hard, like your body would unclench. And that's what happened. Anyways, so A minus for the defense. I think they're also going to be very sound. They're going to be solid. They're going to be strong. And that very well could be the strength of the program. Okay. Hey, let's talk about this schedule here real quick. Let's talk about this schedule. So we have, since we're running long, and taking a look at the 2024 season, man, right out of the chute, the big game, August 31st, Kyle Field down in College Station, Texas, against the Texas A&M Aggies. Now I'm just going to burn through the schedule here real quick. Then it's Northern Illinois, home, Purdue at West Lafayette, Miami of Ohio, home, Louisville, home, Stanford, home, Georgia Tech down in Atlanta. Then it'll be Navy at East Rutherford, New Jersey, Florida State at home, Virginia at home, And then the 2024 Shamrock Series will be the Army, which we will play at Yankee Stadium. That'll be fun. So kind of a neutral spot. And then it's Southern Cal in LA. All right. How are we feeling about our 12-game slate here?
Yeah, I think it's favorable. There's gonna be tough moments, and there's gonna be not so tough moments when you play teams like Miami or Stanford, or even Virginia at home.
Yeah.
I mean, those are all should be walk in the parks. And though Purdue is a away game, I mean, West Lafayette isn't, but couldn't be a couple hours from Notre Dame. So that kind of works in our favor as well.
Yes.
So it's kind of like a home away game.
It sure is. Yeah. Here's what I'll say really quick. Also, I mean, Texas A&M, that's going to be a tough game. Okay, Florida State, we know that's going to be a tough game. Those are, from just a peripheral view, those are the toughest games on the schedule. Any trap games, any games that you're like, well, you better mind your P's and Q's there, otherwise they're gonna take your ass out back.
The one I got circled is Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same thing as what Notre Dame is doing with Purdue, just traveling a stone's throw down the road. Georgia Tech, it's not technically at their home field. It is
right.
Where the Falcons play.
Yeah, it's at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. You got that right.
So that could be a trap game. They're low key. They could low key sneak up on you. Either that or Purdue, I'd say.
Purdue was my pick. Yeah, Purdue was my pick. And, and depending on how the season's going, you got Southern Cal right after Thanksgiving. Now at LA. Now, granted, they've got some key positions they're replacing, obviously, that we know of. But it's just being a rivalry game. I had Purdue. I don't know. We haven't played Purdue in a while. And, actually, it hadn't been that long. It was during the Jack Cohn season we played Purdue last, I believe. Because there was that fiasco. We couldn't fit the world's largest drum in the stadium. So, anyways, the third game of the season, depending on things, because you got a really tough game right out of the gate, and then you got Northern Illinois for the home opener, which we will, of course, be at and having a jolly good time. But then, again, you got Purdue the third week of it's kind of a weird start to this. You got a high-profile game, a MAC opponent, and then a Big Ten opponent, and then another MAC opponent. So it's really a eclectic 4-game beginning to the season. So I think if we could put away Purdue, that puts us on a nice path.
Yeah, just start. All I'm worried about right now, and I'm sure this is a lot of the listeners, let's start 1-0.
Yep.
Let's go into Northern Illinois, the jolliest of fellows.
Let's make it super jolly and leave 2-0. So, yeah, A&M is going to be, I think they're going to be tough. I think they're ranked in, are they 20? They're in the 20-ish range. I mean, they're going to be tough, and at home, that's a tough place to go in and play. We know this. So, we'll see. We'll see where we land.
Yeah, and for the Texas A&M game, yes, College Station, it's going to be rowdy. But one thing that I think is worth mentioning is that the coordinators are now allowed to talk to the play callers. So you'll have a linebacker and obviously your quarterback. They will have a microphone in their ear so they can get the play called directly to them. Thanks, Michigan.
Let me phrase it this way, though. When we look at 2024, the NCAA has now expanded. It's been talked about ad nauseum at this point. It has now expanded the college football playoff to 12 teams. This, of course, expands on the 4-team format that had currently existed. And by the way, Notre Dame, having made the college football playoffs multiple times, actually sets itself in pretty small company. I know a lot of people want to act like this hasn't been a very successful era of Notre Dame football for this reason or that reason, and mostly people point to a lack of national championships this millennia. Okay, and I get it. However, Notre Dame has made the playoffs multiple times. Again, that puts them in pretty rare air. However, the new 12-team college football playoff will again include the 5 highest-ranked conference champions. So the Power 5 teams, conference champs, will get their automatic bid. And then the 7 highest-ranked teams remaining will round out the 12-team format. And then the top 4 teams will receive a first-round bye to the quarterfinals. Okay, so that being said, is 2024, are you calling it a bust if Notre Dame does not make the expanded playoffs?
100%. 100%. I feel like this is the year where I think everybody expects Marcus Freeman to take the next step, and to do so, he wins the games he's supposed to win, which are honestly,
damn near all of them. Honestly,
honestly, all of them. Given that Texas A&M, they've got Mike Elko as their head coach, first year head, or not first year. It'll be his first year with Texas A&M. Week 1, game 1, So, I mean, given all that, I think, and it's debatable whether you can get in with 2 wins or not.
Or 2 losses.
Losses.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, I think that if you don't at least, go 10-2, then I'd say it's a bust.
Yeah. I think even a 9-3 regular season, even with a bowl win, giving you another double digit, it'll feel hollow. It'll feel empty. Because, you can't expand this. You're tripling the teams in the field. You got to be one of them. You have to be one of them. I couldn't agree more. I think if Notre Dame doesn't get one of those bids, one of those 7 other bids to the college football playoffs, and they have to do it decisively, I don't think they can be a bubble team, where they're like the last team in, so to speak. And they certainly can't be the first team out. But they can't. I think they have to make it decisive. Otherwise, I think it's going to be looked at as a disappointment. And if you win 10 games and you go 10-3, but if you don't make the college football playoff and you have a meaningless bowl win, I gotta believe that Marcus Freeman, man, I hate to even say this, but he's got to be on the hot seat.
Mm-hmm. Sink or swim, man.
Yeah. And so what are you predicting? You mentioned a moment ago, and we talked about this before, about how we both kind of were settling on between that 1 and 2 loss season for Notre Dame as far as a prediction is concerned. So what are you thinking here? 12 games, 12-game regular season. What are you settling on?
11-1, college football playoff bound. You can book it.
All right. I like your moxie, man. Okay. With swagger. I hear you. I'm like, I've looked at it up and down. We all have for months on end. I feel like I'm stuck. Like if I were to say if it's either 1 loss or 2 losses, I don't think they run the table. I just don't feel it. And I'm normally pretty good at predicting this one. I just never know where the losses come from. Like, for instance, I didn't know that there was going to be a loss at against Marshall or Stanford here a couple years ago, and I certainly didn't think we'd get tripped up in Louisville. But you know what, Colton? For solidarity, I am going to say 11-1 also. Just don't ask me where that 1 comes from, but I sure as hell hope it's not week 1.
Likewise, I had in mind either week 1 or there against Florida State.
Florida State's a tough one. Yep. That'll be tough, and we'll know a lot about Florida State by the time we play them on November 9th. We'll know a ton about them. We just don't know a lot about them now, and the same goes.
DJ Uyunglele has their quarterback, so he's a bit of a familiar face around the college football world and definitely around Notre Dame football. So I think we'll know a little bit of what to expect from them, but nonetheless, good program. It could definitely go either way.
Yeah, about that, gentlemen. The loudest Notre Dame football game I ever attended was a 2021 Clemson game, which was fairly, and or he was quarterbacking for Clemson, and Notre Dame scored that major upset. We got to storm the field. It was awesome. 2022, pardon me. I was only there, right? But but yeah, he is a familiar face. So, I mean, that probably plays into our hand a little bit. We've faced him a couple times. So, but we'll see. So I'm putting at 11-1. All right, let's wrap it up here. Final thoughts. We got our record prediction. You heard it here first, man. Our Irish are going 11-1 and making that damn playoff. What are your final thoughts? Anything that you want to just touch on before we sign off here?
Prove everybody wrong. That's what this is all about. Come out here. Though I said 11-1, let's go 12-0. You know, just kind of make a statement is what I say. Make a statement week 1 and just ride it all the way.
I am with you. I have just a couple things. Like, man, Notre Dame has established itself as, man, something of a bully to watch, man, and they are bullies up front. And that's what I like to see. I like to see that toughness up front. I think we're going to see it again. We talked about the defensive line. I think the defensive line is going to be rough and tumble. I think the offensive line has a lot to prove. I think they'll ultimately answer the bell. You just kind of feel it. There's just still a lot of question marks. So I think if Notre Dame plays tough, their skill, their talent will take them. If they play tough up front, they don't allow themselves to, they just got to, again, keep being those bullies that they are. I think they're talented at the skill positions. They're now deep. We talked about the wide receivers. That's been a pain point for Notre Dame the last couple of years. I mean, it's actually kind of been brutal, honestly. You know who we miss? Who do we miss at wide receiver, Colton?
Avery Davis.
You're damn right. It's Avery Davis, man. We miss Avery Davis around here, and we'll miss him forever. But Avery Davis was that classic scrapper. He was tough. He was gritty. And you know what? He caught a ton of passes. Remember that one year, man? He was all over the place. But they haven't had that guy who was like statistically really prolific and really efficient, but also just played with that edge. And I think we got those guys this year. So, yeah, I agree, man. Prove everyone wrong, dude. Everyone, Notre Dame's kind of a trendy team, and then we'll see. I think they could prove folks wrong and run the table. But, either way, we're making that playoff. Well, all right then. Colton, thanks for joining the show once more, and we will be right back with show wrap. All right. Well, hope you enjoyed that. I will be honest, we had a little bit of issues with our audio. So if you kind of heard it drop in and out, that's what that was. It kind of made the editing of this episode interesting. Actually, we probably had to dump about 10 to 15 minutes worth of content. So your grace would be graciously accepted. And I hope you are as ready for the college football season as we are. It's when hope springs eternal. It's when the world is truly our oyster. So that was the 6th annual season preview episode. I was once again joined by my younger brother, Colton Painter. That was episode number 99. The next episode is number 100. And if you've been a show listener for any length of time, I guess at this point you might be aware that I've been working on a book about Lewis Salmon, who was a phenomenal Notre Dame fullback. He was Notre Dame's first All-American back in 1903, and he was actually the subject of an episode back in 2020. Now, after that episode in 2020, I decided that's it. This guy deserves a book. And so that's exactly what I ended up doing, and I just finished it. It's called Lewis Salmon, All-American. So next episode 100, which will be coming out here in the next couple weeks, will be a release party of some sort for a book that I've been working on for most of the last 4 years that I'm so excited to share more about. So make sure you tune into the next episode and learn more about my book, Lewis Salmon, All-American. I'd like to thank everybody who's tuned in. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with Onward to Victory, and I'd like to thank those who financially back the show, our consensus All-Americans once more. So please consider donating to the show if it means something to you. And if it means something to you and you can't donate, that's okay. Hey, go on our Facebook page, like and share our episodes, follow the page, send the show an email at onwardtovictorypodcast@gmail.com if you want something to be read on a future episode. And please know that I am incredibly appreciative of everything, especially now that this humble little history podcast has nearly eclipsed the 100 episode mark and has had a book spin out of one of its episodes. Something I'm just incredibly proud of. So thank you all once more. And I better sign off. Hey, this has been Onward to Victory, a Notre Dame football podcast. And in kindness, I am your host, Alex Painter. And as always, go Irish.